Greetings, shiny happy people. I hope you're having a fantastic weekend so far. There's one thing that the conspiracy theorists say that I will not disagree with, and that's that the mainstream media are not to be trusted. Mind you, as an aside, it is hilarious how often they use mainstream media articles to illustrate their paranoid points if it suits them. The Daily Express, the font of all truthful knowledge, not. But back to the main course. People in the UK have talked about the BBC News bias for some time. Far from being an impartial public broadcaster, it has become increasingly clear over the last couple of decades that it's not much more than a government mouthpiece staffed by overpaid toadies. But last week, they appear to have kicked it up a notch. Two YouTube channels which are pro-Scottish independence and feature commentary on Scottish politics had their channels deleted after multiple copyright strikes from the BBC. The channels had used short news clips from BBC Scotland programmes for critique and discussion as per fair use policies and had not failed to credit the BBC as the sources. The channels received no contact from either the BBC or YouTube prior to their channels being removed. Just there one day, gone the next. Of course, the incompetent stupidity of YouTube's defence system, that is, it being all but impossible to report specific URLs in order to defend the copyright claims when your channel is removed, made things exceedingly difficult for the channel owners. But eventually, YouTube capitulated and furnished one of the channels with a list of 13 videos that had been struck with copyright claims, one of which was a BBC Scotland interview with the channel owner himself. Bizarre! Now, it should be noted that there are many anti-Scottish independence channels on YouTube that use the same BBC clips, but they're not getting struck down with copyright claims. I mean, regardless of your politics on the independence issue, there shouldn't be one rule for them and another for the opposition, surely. But there is, and here comes the proof. During an interview on BBC Scotland last week, Ian Small, Head of Public Policy at BBC Scotland, made it clear that the decision to take copyright action had come from London and that BBC Scotland had known nothing about it. There was no consultation with BBC Scotland, who were the makers of the programmes that the clips came from. And in this interview, Mr Small let slip who it was who'd alerted the BBC about the videos. He was identified as a Labour Party councillor from Edinburgh, who's well known for trolling on social media. And it would appear that this idiot had been contacted by the BBC some time ago in respect of him using BBC News clips on his YouTube channel. The BBC approached the man directly because they were fully aware of the 3 strikes closed down policy at YouTube. But unlike the 2 pro-independence sites he chose to report, the BBC gave him the chance to either remove the videos or make them private, rather than simply having them and his channel struck down. Absolute proof that whoever is in the BBC hot seat has the discretion over what action to take over apparent copyright claims on YouTube, and absolute proof that the BBC shows bias towards the Westminster government's wishes. This week, a BBC spokesman said that they take action across the political spectrum to protect copyright. Bullshit. One of the channels is now back up, including the 13 videos struck for breaching copyright. This restoration is however temporary whilst the BBC conduct a review of its procedures over the copyright of news clips. In other words, plenty of negativity from irate licence payers and from across the political spectrum, and being caught playing dirty forced their hand on this occasion. The other channel remains terminated, very possibly because the owner has not so vigorously pursued the matter. He has stated that he attempted to contest the strikes without success, but feels unable to take the legal risks of other routes. Counterclaiming against the mighty BBC could be quite intimidating. This nasty episode has been about real censorship, the government via the propaganda machine attempting to silence those who oppose their wishes. This is not Korean hackers have shut down my website, or YouTube is stifling my view count, or the government wants to remove my blurred photos of Nibiru. And it is incidents like the disturbing scenario I've just relayed that people fail to see because they're so tied up with conspiracies about things that don't actually exist. Before I go, I thought you might like to see the album cover for the track playing on this video. I wonder how long it'll be until the usual suspects pick up on this one. Have a wonderful Sunday. Bye.